Amber's got us live. Thank you. We'll get started in just a minute.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't know. I hadn't heard from him. Okay. You okay? All right. We'll go ahead and call the November 20th, 2025 meeting of the Muncie Redevelopment Commission to order. Go ahead and take roll today. Mr. Bishop?
Here.
Mr. Dale?
Present.
Mr. Miller, I am here. Mr. Prbilla is absent at this point. And Ms. Wagley?
Yes.
And Mr. Lowe? Here in the audience. Thank you. All right, moving forward with the agenda today. Are there any suggestions? Or do we want to go ahead and get a motion to approve?
Move we approve the agenda as submitted.
Second.
A motion and a second. Okay, Mr. Bishop?
Yes.
Mr. Dale?
Yes.
Mr. Miller, yes, and Ms. Wagley?
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay, can move forward with the approval of the previous meeting memoranda. You should have that in your packets. Any discussion or action today?
Yeah, I just had 3 quick points under item number 4, minutes, starting with the second sentence, that where it states the recording stated with a discussion regarding that should be attributed to myself. Same thing in the second paragraph of that same part 4. The first sentence should state Dale stated. And then lastly, under item number 6, report from the city, the last sentence, I believe, should read Dale stated, questioned why facade grant funding cannot be rolled over to an ensuing year. It states that Commissioner Wagley responded to that, but it doesn't state who started that discussion. I just offer that up as a motion to be included for the approval of the minutes.
Okay, I'll second that motion. Any further discussion before we vote today? Seeing none, Mr. Bishop?
Yes.
Mr. Dale?
Yes.
Mr. Miller, yes. Ms. Wagley?
Yes.
Okay. Moving forward with the claims. Mr. Wright, saw your email. You had a couple items. You should have copies of those in your packets as well today.
Yep. Good morning. I sent out the claims yesterday afternoon, and just want to open up for any questions you might have. We did have a few claims out there for parks, work on parks with the Gateway Park just out front, and also at the Riverview Park. And with that, I'll just answer any questions you might have.
Any questions today for Mr. Wright?
I'd move the approval of claims.
Okay, we have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, Mr. Bishop?
Yes.
Mr. Dale?
Yes.
Mr. Miller, yes, and Ms. Wagley?
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Howe, move forward with your report for the city today.
I'm just going to put 4 of these up here since Steve's not here. So let me go left. These are our financial update, position update.
There you go.
Updates will be a bit brief today. We've got a number of things happening, but movement has been somewhat limited. So I'll mention, as you all know, we were awarded $6.75 million in Ready 2.0 funding to support the transformative development in the city's core, including the new downtown housing and the creation of the Signature Gateway experience, which is right across the street here. Funding, when combined with over $10 million in city infrastructure investment, these funds will be used to advance 2 major initiatives. The Muncie Central City Housing Project, which includes 34 new homes in the Old West End. I've also talked to a couple of developers that are also going to build some additional homes in that as well. I think it was at least 4 new homes in that area. And then we are looking at still working on trying to pin down all the corners on the 4-story multi-unit building that would happen here on the point. So that we're looking at, somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 homes in the downtown area, and then potentially some retail. It's supposed to be a multi-use space here. I think one of our holdup has been kind of pinning down the anchor tenant, so that doesn't happen, but we are talking to multiple developers at this point to see if there's a vision that could be done that does not include that anchor that still works for us. So we're still working on that, but hopefully we'll get that down. But the big hurdle for that project was the ready. So that's going to make that project doable. The Muncie Mall, we finalized the agreement approved a couple months ago for the pay-go. Environmental cleanup and interior demo are underway, and we should see the building nearest McGarry coming down fairly soon. The redevelopment plan is getting finalized, and thanks to the mayor's efforts, we have been given another, I don't know if we ever actually officially said this in the meeting, so I can't tell you exactly when it not occurred to us, but we got a pretty strong indication we were not getting ready 2.0 or any Lilly. I'm going to close this door.
That's fine. Yeah, go ahead, please. That's a little better.
I'm not sure if that was getting picked up by the mic, but it was distracting me. So,
You're fine.
so we were not getting the ready Lilly money for the mall, but we have been working on that, and we do have another opportunity for that. So we are going to meet with them next week and walk through that again and see if we can get something done on that. We did execute the lease on the Colson property, so we hopefully will. They will start their testing period soon. They do have a time to test that. If it doesn't test out, the provision in the lease, if it doesn't test out, then the lease becomes void if it can't do what it needs to do.
Sure.
But that has the potential to be a really big winner for us. I mean, $96,000 upfront payment, $500 a month, and then you're getting about $280,000 for a piece of property. I'm tell you, it's probably worth about $2,500 and really has no real purpose otherwise. So, D.R. Horton has submitted a plan to develop a new subdivision in Muncie. It is 126 new homes, and we've been in discussions with them, and that they should be finalizing the plan, the plat on that. The homes will be both ranch and two-story homes, ranging from 1,275 square feet to 2,600 square feet, and prices expected to be approximately $300,000 to $350,000. So we're very optimistic that will go well. I guess this is really under new business.
That's fine.
And then we also have received word that the planning for the development on the Sportsplex is underway and expected to be between 200 and 250 homes, and those will be across the spectrum. So there'll be some first-time buyer kind of starter homes in there, but also some the homes that will be scaled more like Store Estate, so it'll be kind of phased in.
Can I ask Jeff, did that sale finally close, or the transfer of that property? Remember, it was like it was going to take the full year.
It didn't,
coming up
because they
on-
didn't meet the deadlines that they needed to meet.
Okay.
So we are, in fact, our legal counsel is reviewing a document now to put that back in place.
Okay,
We've been trying to put timelines on these things, so if things don't happen,
sure.
we can move in a different direction or same direction with somebody else. But they have refreshed their commitment to do that. And like I say, it'll that property, as we've talked about before, that's a property that has had no property taxes for
Yeah.
25-plus years. So it should produce probably somewhere in the neighborhood of $500,000 or $600,000 a year in property taxes when it's fully
I'm
developed.
sorry, I'm not trying to quiz you on it. I just don't recall. So who actually owns that now, currently?
That is owned by, I believe, it may be owned by GMed.
Is it G? Okay, that's what I thought. I just couldn't
is.
recall if
Yeah,
it went.
it is.
Yeah, the city bought it, but it's in
GMed,
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So anyway, so we're very optimistic that will move forward, and now those families that live in that neighborhood, their children would go to Wapahani, so some of those tax dollars will follow them to the school, which is a good thing. So, so we're pretty optimistic about that getting done. Now, it takes years sometimes for these things to get out of the ground and get up and running, but it's another big commitment. I think one of the things that I feel good about, we've talked about this, and we've had discussions about housing studies and things like that, but I think most of this new development is kind of an affirmation that we've been right. We need homes, and they feel like the absorption's there, and this will give us the opportunity to upgrade some of the other housing that needs to be upgraded in the community, but you can't do some of that until there's a place for people to go. So we feel pretty good about that. And I think that is all I have.
Okay.
I've got a question, Jeff. The public amenity here at the point, when is that as far as it can go currently, or is there more improvements expected within the next month or so?
Andrew, I don't know what is going to be dictated by weather. I mean, there's some more to happen there, but I'm not sure about the timing. I think the expectation was to have it done by the end of the year, but I'm not sure how this weather or upcoming weather might impact that. But yeah, it's supposed to have some stuff happen by the end of the year. But I think we're also trying to plan around the development of the other building, because we don't want to put things in that will have to be removed and then put back in again as that other project comes to pass.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe just next month, maybe if whomever is that Bill Tevis's group,
Flatland.
if they can share what they think will be done, that can be done. I just hear questions occasionally about it, and I think it's a great project.
Yeah.
I think there was a sign involved and such, and
Right.
so
Yeah.
some people have
It's
asked.
been pretty well received, and yeah, I think, like I say, some of that is, and some of it, because we're having lights put in and those kind of things, and some of that is going to be dependent upon the fabricators of maybe not the lights, but the sign and things too.
Okay.
So, yeah.
The only other thing I had, Jeff, was just your comments on some of the READY funding. I know that us not getting certain READY funding for certain projects, that's been standard across the state, just for clarification. It's been my understanding that there's been a lot of reorganization, I guess I would call it, at the state level, that's led to, obviously, the delays that we've seen, but have also led to some projects just not getting the funding that communities thought they would. That's standard across the states. That's not just a Muncie problem. That's a general state of Indiana
Right.
issue, I would say.
Right,
So,
and, I mean, it's always very competitive, and,
Yeah.
sometimes if they review the project, they think, a project might make better sense than the other one, but and like I say, we firmly believe and have been advocating pretty strongly that not only does this, and we talk about how this serves Muncie from a property tax standpoint, because that's the math that I think about often, but we think about, we think about the viability of some of the smaller communities that surround Muncie, and this becomes a regional. It is we believe it's a genuine regional project.
Sure.
And ready money was for regional projects. So,
Yeah.
So we have been fortunate that we've been able to get another audience with the decision makers, and hopefully we'll be able to. I'm going to take that back. Maybe not with the decision makers, with people who will be advocating, hopefully, on our behalf with the decision makers.
Sure.
To maybe see if we can get another piece of that that helps us get that done. Yeah.
That's great. You addressed new subdivisions, so we can move past that unless you have other items. That you
I
want
do
to
not.
share. Okay. Facade grant status update. Mr. Bishop, what do you think?
Yeah, so I don't know, I don't think these got sent out, but I have copies. Or not copy, I have my copy, but I can pass them down. The committee has received probably 10 or 12 total applications for facade grant funding. We are recommending approval of 5 of those today, and the remaining have been tabled for additional information and clarity and, looking for what the actual project is and additional quotes. The applications that are recommended for approval today, I can just read them off.
Yeah.
First is from Jonathan Chambliss with Crew Construction for their project at 215 South Walnut. This would be their new office space, and then they're adding, they're kind of adding additional storefront to have separate entrances for both things on the ground level. Their total project cost for that is $143,000. It's capped out at $25,000. I think the only thing I had to add was that their Historic Preservation Commission certificate of appropriateness application was approved for that, and I think they've started work. So this will just be reimbursement of $25K once they can show $25K of work.
Mr. Bishop, do you prefer us to, do you want to read each one individually and then we vote on each one individually? Or do you want to read through all of them and then we consider them? I just don't want us to get
Yeah.
confused. I can do either or if anybody wants to see the details, I can pass them around.
Let's do, if there's any questions from the commission on each app, let me know after I read it, and then we can have maybe further discussion.
Sure.
And if there's any issue with any of them, we could do a vote separate, but otherwise we could just do one vote together.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Okay. There should, hopefully there'll be a little less bunch going forward, but we'll see.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
We'll also make sure that they get sent out to the full board. The second application recommended for approval is from Michael Jennings for the project at 307 East North. This is a private house in the Gilbert National Historic District. They are just requesting $8,600 for their total project cost of about 67 total. All in total, they're remodeling the house that they own there.
You said 8,600?
8,600.
Thank you.
That will be a rental project, property?
I'm not sure that we know. I don't think that was included in the application. I believe so, maybe, but it could be, I don't know if one of their family members is moving in or not. But it's the house that they currently own. Yeah.
The Jennings?
Yeah.
Not owner occupied, it's owner occupied.
I believe it's currently vacant.
Okay. So we don't know what the intention of the property is.
Just used as a residence. I'm not sure if it's would be rental or they would sell it or
Okay.
one of the family members would move in or whatnot. The third application from Cindy Buchanan or 4 Tabs LLC for the project at 306 South Walnut. This is the Columbia building that last also hosted the Mark III tap room. Now Ball State is leasing out space in there. They are restoring the facade as best as possible. I think there's a parapet that needs removed, and then a bunch of tile work that needs done. So the total project cost that they've listed was north of 200K. So they would the cap here would be 25,000. I don't believe that's a local landmark, but the kind of proposed facade that they set and looked pretty historically accurate as best as possible.
That building's not on the historic registry, is it?
I believe the National District.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
so not
Okay.
no local oversight.
Interesting. Okay.
Fourth application from William Peckinpah for 400 West Jackson. This is just to replace the sidewalk, a section of sidewalk in front of their offices there. There's a couple honey locust trees that have. I mean, it's been that way for a while, but just some sidewalk unevenness. So $1,013.50 would be the total project cost is $2,027. So up to 50% of the project cost would be $10,1350.
So in the facade program, we can do infrastructure work.
I believe it's limited to sidewalks. To some extent, yeah.
And the cap on that is 50%.
Correct, yeah, the cap all around is, for any project, is 50%, and then up to 25K within 47305, up to 15K within a mile of downtown, or the center of downtown, and then up to 15 or 10K across the board, city limits, depending on the project.
Okay.
The final application we're recommending for approval is from Minnetrista Museum and Gardens there for the project at 620 West Minnetrista Boulevard. This is the LL Ball House, the Bob Ross Museum. I don't think they're changing the facade. It's just kind of, some brickwork and cleaning things up and adding mortar, painting, and other, just dealing with some past damage and kind of just general restoration work. None of the facade is really changing. So they're requesting that would be up to 15,000. Total project cost is 33,250.
Okay, yeah, I see, you're saying our max give to them would be 15K, correct?
Correct.
Okay, is that all of them?
Yeah, so this would be, maybe at next meeting, we can discuss any rollover funds based on what would be left. Or how that additional work, I think there's 150,000 per year for 10 years. This is just under 75K, so this is about half the funds allotted for this year. And so maybe we can figure out some, if that would be a rollover, or if the funds would just be lost, but based on whatever applications the committee recommends for next meeting.
I know Mr. Dale had requested an update on that from Mr. Howe. Jeff, do you want to address that at all here? Just the rollover portion of this?
Just working off my recollection, I think when we approved this, it was not going to be rollover. It was going to be 150,000, which was the debt service on a bond we'd had before, bond we had before on it, and it would refresh then every year. And I think, I think I would probably characterize that, although I have to go back and look at the minutes, I would characterize that we've approved to do this ongoing. But I don't think I don't think the intent was for it to roll over. Any commitments that we would make obviously would.
Sure.
If you made a commitment today and it didn't fund, we would fund. But
Yeah.
But that was.
Can I ask, what would I guess be the intended use of the leftover funds here then, if we're not rolling them over? Would they just bleed into other buckets, other projects?
Yeah, they would just stay in the buckets that
Okay.
we would be able to allocate for other projects.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, and to be clear, I had a number of discussions with other potential funders so we could maybe aggregate efforts. So those discussions are influencing my recollection. So what was said in the meeting and what I said in other meetings around this meeting, I'm not sure I can sift through those right now, but I think the intent was it would be $150,000 a year, and then it would refresh that $150,000 the next year.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I don't know either way, I guess. I think we've obviously, there's been some severe interest in the facade grant program. I think we can all agree with that. There's obviously not been enough interest this year to use the full 150,000. But if this is successful, which I think it will be, we could see many more applications coming in next year, and then we might have to make tough decisions if we're capped at the 150. But it also might be good to have the leftover monies just spare in the buckets in case we need them for other projects too. So there's a discussion to be had there. We can have that discussion now, or we can decide on these first and then come back. I have no preference either way, if anyone from the commission.
I'd rather just carve out an agenda item next month.
Okay.
To talk about the prudence of holding or not. I can see it both ways.
Okay.
That's why I questioned it last meeting, was
Yeah.
what the relevance of that was.
Yeah.
So I would just suggest if we can talk about it next month in a isolated way, meaning that it's not predicated on what we're currently looking at.
Sure, it's not.
But a larger view of the program, that'd be great.
Yeah, that's fine. I agree with that.
Zane, you said you have more applications that will come before us next month for approval, possibly?
Presumably, yeah, I don't know the current status of the requested documents. Just, second quotes and just trying to clarify what the actual project is, but I would presume we'll have, some applications again next month.
Do you have any idea on what those total, any idea?
It probably just depends on what we get back and what information we can,
Okay.
yeah.
So we may still spend more than the
That's true.
75,000 this year.
Yeah.
That's true.
Just for clarification, so, because you said you had 12,
Something like
you
that.
presented 5 today.
Yes.
Are the other 7 still viable, or have some of those been declined?
None have been declined, no.
So they're all still at least under consideration?
Yes.
Okay, all right, yeah. I just
That's good to know.
want to make sure we.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Well, why don't we go ahead and move forward? We can decide on these one at a time. I have them all listed out in the order that Zane read them off. So why don't we start and open up discussion on the crew project proposal, capped at $25,000 for an update to their office space building down here on South Walnut. I don't know if anybody has any discussion items or if we want to make a motion on that.
I would, did you have a question?
My only thought is, these have all been scrutinized by committee.
Yes.
They've been filtered that if they had to go to the Historic Preservation Commission, they've done that. If there's a zoning impact, it's already been screened for all that. I don't know what I can add that would cause me to vote on these individually
Okay.
rather than uniformly.
That's fine. You make that motion if you
Yeah,
want. That's
I
fine.
just moved to move them all.
Okay.
Just because and I'm not, and others might feel differently. You might have something to articulate on these things with an experience of building trades and such, but I think it's been scrutinized to this point, and this is the suggestion, and I'd move to just
That's fine.
approve all of them
You-
at once.
Okay, so there's a motion in a second. You had some questions on the Jennings house. I didn't know if you had more there. Are
No,
you done
no,
there?
I was
Okay.
just wondering, I do think that in future, it'd be nice to know what the intended use is going to be.
Sure.
And I understand house is a house, but just is it going to be owner occupied or a rental situation?
Okay, so we do have a motion in a second. I just want to make sure there's no other discussion points on any of the other projects. I think I'm in agreement as well, so. Okay, motion in a second. Let's call roll. Mr. Bishop,
Yes.
Mr. Dale,
Yes?
Mr. Miller, yes, and Ms. Wagley.
Yes.
Wonderful. All right, first 5 projects of the
know.
facade grant status program are approved. That's a big win.
Exciting.
Yeah, that's very exciting.
Figure out
That's
how to
awesome.
Pay him.
Yeah, really, seriously. No, that's very exciting. That's good stuff. Okay, Mr. Howe, do we have any property transfers this month? Okay, great. We'll move on then.
I apologize.
Oh, please.
I do have one question for Jeff.
Good.
Just real quick, are you able to say on that other D.H. Horton subdivision where that's going to be? I know we talked about out east and the sportsplex, but it sounded like there was a different one.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's going to be off Morrison,
Okay?
yeah, north of, north of Petty.
North of Petty? Okay.
North of Petty.
I know right where you're at. Thank you.
Cool. Okay, we'll move forward with the land bank update. Mr. Howard.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Nate Howard from the Muncie Land Bank. Zach is going to offer an update about the tax sale when I get to that. We sold 3 properties this last month, all houses, each one we sold for $10K to developers. One of them is a 4-unit in the old West End that I think their plan is to try to preserve those 4 units and rent those out that way. The other 2, depending on the cost that it takes to rehab it, they'll make a decision whether they're going to be renting it or selling it as a single-family home. Those are props that we've had. Each 2 of them for about a year, and then 2123 South Jefferson is one we've had for a couple years, so we were excited to find someone with a solid track record to pass that off to. As you heard, Ready 2.0 was publicly announced. We're really, really excited about that, obviously, because that's where we've invested 2.5 years of time and resources and planning, and so it's awesome to see that come to fruition, and really excited to be partnering with the city on that. Next month, students from the urban planning third-year planning studio are going to be presenting at First Friday about all their work that they've been doing in industry neighborhood. I mentioned, I think last month, that they did about 300 quality of life interviews and then focus group conversations, a number of people that participated, around 300, trying to understand needs and assets in the neighborhood, and right now they're working on what we're calling our corridor redevelopment plan. It's a specific part of industry that the neighborhood's prioritized for redevelopment, so that's what they're working on and be presenting on. That is December 5th at our First Friday meeting, 12:30 to 2 p.m. at the second floor, on the second floor of the Mad Jack's building. This past First Friday, we offered staff, Zach and I did an update on the tax sale. And so actually I've asked Zach to kind of summarize some of the things that we learned and analyzed.
Good morning, Zach.
Morning. Let's see here. Yeah, so like Nate said, last First Friday, I presented on some of the findings from the 2025 tax sale. A lot of it was in reference or comparison to the 2024 tax sale. You can find all of this on our website, muncielandbank.org/tax sale summary 2025, with hyphens between the words there. But just a quick summary. So this is for Muncie only. So it's basically been spatially filtered out of the whole Delaware County tax sale list. There were 522 parcels that were listed within Muncie for the 2025 tax sale. 191 of those sold, which was recouping $376,000 of delinquent taxes and fines. 331 did not sell, leaving $2.8 million of tax delinquency on the table. There were 25 buyers in total, with the top 5 being responsible for about 90% of the money spent, and 61% of the certificates that were won. 4 of the top 5 bidders this year were also the top 5 in the last year's sale. 2 of those have been recurring in the last 10 years, same people. The top buyer himself spent over 40% of the total money spent at the tax sale. Those are the key points. You can view the presentation slides in more detail at that link. There's also a dashboard where you can explore all the data yourself.
Zach, those top buyers, where do they reside?
3 of them are within Delaware County. 1 is from Fishers and 1's from New Jersey. It's all public information, but Mark Price with Redemption Warriors LLC, Tom Terry has MJewel MJewel this year. Indiana Tax Auction is from New Jersey. They're new. I haven't seen them before. And then there's a couple other organizations. Yeah.
I'd just be curious, Zach, and you can expand on this. You don't have to talk long about it, obviously. I'll probably go watch your presentation. And Nate, you might have insight too. But, I mean, does this data that you have speak to any trends or anything that you're seeing nationally compared to our community or statewide? What do the numbers say about our community? I think I'd be curious to hear your guys' insight on that.
Yeah, this is something that we're researching right now with some money that we got from Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. It's trying to identify those trends. I think what we found, there's a lot of things that we found, but we want to position ourselves as the organization that takes care of properties that no one else wants. The tax sale, I mean, properties have gone delinquent, and then if they get bid on, these properties are something that still has market value.
Sure.
But a lot of these, I mean, they go to the tax sale over and over and over. Despite any processes that are in Indiana code, I mean, they still go back to the tax sale and no one wants them. So we want to position ourselves as we can take care of those properties. We can return them to private use, we can return them to the market, and those can return to the tax rules and, provide that money that's essential for public resources. So yes, I mean, those 331 that did not sell, almost all of those have been on the tax sale 2, 3, 4, 5 times in the past 10 years. I think the most tax sale appearances that properties had had in the past 10 years was 7 appearances.
Sure.
So they just keep returning.
Yeah, I think, and thank you, that's very helpful. I think what you're speaking to is important for us to consider as a redevelopment commission, but also in relationship to county government's relationship with the land bank. I mean, I've said several times that I believe that they should support you guys in certain areas, and I think the data pretty clearly speaks to that. The numbers don't lie. So I find that interesting, and I think it would probably be beneficial to the land bank to expand on that research. I know you're in the middle of it, but I think that'd be helpful to make your case, so.
Did you guys look at the sellers, or the property owners, or were they institutional owners?
It depends. So, I mean, so part of the feeling that we get, a lot of people, we blame out-of-state owners, for being speculators, for not taking care of their properties.
Sure.
It really seems, though, that it's the in-state mom-and-pop, rentals that might not be getting taken care of as well.
Interesting.
There's plenty of homeowners, too, who are going tax delinquent.
Do you have any data on how many of those were company-owned?
I do. I can give that. If you're interested in that, I can totally send that to you.
Well, I
yes.
think that is a concern. We do have a lot of folks that are just accumulating property and aren't doing anything with them. They can't put them into use. Then,
Yeah.
they stay in the tax sales. I mean, it's a big business. I know some of these folks that have bought these, and they will turn those into rentals or fix them up and sell them. And,
Yeah.
but it's with our county, city really struggles with home ownership.
Yeah.
Our percentage of home ownership is low, and that contributes as well.
Sure.
Yeah. Just importantly, so there was tax sale process. It's an auction, so prices get bid up. So those 191 that sold generated about $2.8 million in surplus tax dollars. Those surplus tax dollars, of course, go to an escrow fund. It's a tax sale surplus fund. Has 3 years that it can be redeemed by the original owner who's divested of ownership, or that winning bidder if the redemption happens. So those dollars aren't contributed to the tax rolls, but then they go to the county's general fund after that 3 years and aren't dispersed to the individual taxing units. So any extra money that gets through, which it was like $70,000 last year they got through, after 3 years, of course, that doesn't get dispersed, and that stays with the county. Or it doesn't have to, at least. Yeah, but that's essentially all I have. But if you have any other questions, I'd be happy to answer or point you in the right direction.
I don't know if you have this information approximately. Do you know what percentage of the total number of properties that were going to the tax sale were in the city limits?
Almost all of them. Yeah, I mean,
All of them?
it was near 600 on the entire list, I believe. It was like 590,
Okay.
and 522 were inside Muncie city limits. Yeah.
Do you know how many unsold properties there were outside of city limits?
Not off the top of my head, but it was almost none. Very few.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, even in Albany and Eden and other municipalities, they get sold pretty quickly for a surplus. It's really, Muncie seems to be, the problem of unsold tax sale properties seems to be isolated within city limits here.
Interesting. Thank you. That's really
Yeah,
insightful stuff.
absolutely.
Go ahead, Nate, a few more.
Just two things. One, or three things. One is that Zach has been working on this for 6 months, and he's going to continue working on it. He's been doing regression analysis, all the kind of things that I just smile and nod and try to understand. But he's getting at the heart of things, and there's not a bias. He's trying to dispel myths, and the goal is to then present this to the decision-making bodies and Muncie and say, look, this is what's happening. Is there something else we can do to improve this process? It's a really hard problem, and there's no easy solutions. I would say too that, and maybe it's kind of obvious, but the properties that are getting bought at the tax sale are properties with the highest assessed value. And really what the tax sale is, and we're looking at the numbers to try to be able to show this clearly. It's a business for people who have a considerable amount of money to be able to buy up swaths of properties. And some of them have a little bit more of an intention of acquiring and maybe redeveloping, but really what it is it's an opportunity to generate interest on the redemption side. There's, if the property's redeemed by the original owner within 6 months, that's 10% of interest, and if it's past 6 months, it's 5% more. So, and so really, it benefits the bidders to bid that price up so that they can get higher interest rates. So it's not so much a tool to do redevelopment or to create space for local mom and pop people to find a property and redevelop. And it's kind of turned into a business for people that are that have more resources. Yes.
So Mark Price's organization last year made, from the 2024 sale, just based on what had already been redeemed, which the redemption period ended yesterday, for the 2024 sale, he'd already made $120,000 or so, just from money that he spent at the tax sale. Because it's the 10% on the minimum bid in the first 6 months, 15% if it gets redeemed within the second 6 months, and then every dollar of surplus has a 5% interest on that redemption. What we're finding, though, is a lot of buyers on tax certificates, they don't always actually take them to deed, even if they're not redeemed. They just let it go. And that's why it goes back to the tax sale.
That's true.
Yeah, I don't know if everybody's aware, about 7 years ago, maybe 8 years ago, there was quite an effort. I was a member of the group. We looked at the frailties of the tax sale process. And it was a combined effort between a number of folks from the city, from the county, and then groups of subject matter experts. I think the land bank was even maybe at the table. Well, I know John West was. And we got all the way to the point where we had some really good solutions, but there wasn't an appetite at the county level to really go there. We're somewhat hamstrung by some state provisions and such, but really the county has a large latitude, a wide latitude to make changes to less pervert the process, to close that gate from abuse. And I'm just wondering if now's not the time. Maybe there's an appetite in this discussion. What I'm hearing is that we've recognized that there's something not right about it. And I would love for the MRC to be a part of engaging the county and others to find out a better way to go about it. But we were so close, and we had nailed down that process. John West, I think, can tell you all about it. We got to the nitty gritty, but there wasn't an appetite to get it done.
Well, the bulk of requirements with tax sale property is state statute. So, there's not a lot you can change.
Yeah. I understand, and I agree in part, but there were a number of things that we identified that could be done at the local level to substantially close that window. And it'd be neat to go back and look at those details and really examine it.
I will say this also, just to both of your points. It's pretty well known that Indiana needs better land banking legislation than what they have at the state level. Specifically, I know that there's been several conversations about that have not come to fruition at the State House. So that's the other side of the ball as well on this huge ball that we're talking about. So sorry, Zach, I think I interrupted you.
I was just going to say, it's absolutely right. It's very restricted. It can be restrictive at the state level. Part of my work right now is reviewing all of the administrative code on top of the Indiana code that exists on the tax sale process. So if the property goes 2 consecutive times unsold at the tax sale, that's when it's supposed to be taken to deed by the commissioners, actually. It's rare that it goes exactly 2 times unsold in a row. But really, though, the commissioners do have reasonable authority to dispose of those properties to nonprofit and municipal or other political subdivisions for no consideration. But their willingness to do that is a question.
But we've done that with them. That's what we did.
Yes.
Interlocal agreements with them.
No, agreed. But
That's
we're
true.
talking wholesale here, and that's agreed. I'm thinking more wholesale on it, so, yeah.
My only other comment, I don't know if this is still the figure. I think it was properties within a few hundred feet of a vacant or blighted property, I think are reduced in value by like 15%. So, you know, the city is absorbing the burden of, you know, fewer taxes, more issues, higher costs with code enforcement and everything. But the county as an entity is the one that's receiving the surplus funds, and not dispersing them, even though, you know, the city is, you know, obviously a huge taxing entity of the county.
Yeah, that's a good point. Any other things from you guys in your update? Just want to double check. No? Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. Good stuff. Okay, we will move forward with public comments. Each member of the public has 2 minutes each.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Charlize Jamieson, Muncie. I am thrilled to hear that the READY grant has finally come through. I'm thrilled that I don't have to go to any meetings and ask that question anymore. You're thrilled that I don't have to go to meetings and ask that question anymore. My comment, and it's really a comment unless somebody happens to have an answer. It's 34 properties, right, in the old West End that we're going to get new building. Is it 34? Did I hear right?
Is that correct, Mr. Al, 34?
My only comment is, I hope, and I don't know if there's been renderings yet of the homes. If there has been, I haven't seen them. But I hope that they are built in such a way that they blend in with the neighborhood. And, you know, you don't drive through and say, oh, there's one of those homes, because it stands out maybe in less than a positive way. I hope there's some, and I would say that's true with any building, even the one across the street. I have seen a rendering on that. That it's in keeping with the general area that's in. I mean, let's not have something that stands out as something less than, and let's build it to blend in with the neighborhood. I really don't phrase that as a question because I'm sure you don't have the answer, and you're probably going to tell me it doesn't even belong to you. But you have input and you have suggestions, and I would hope that you would keep the general makeup of the neighborhood in mind when people are coming to advocate building. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Howard, do you have something you'd like to?
Just to respond to that
Answer
real
that.
quick, just because I've been involved in that process a little bit on the neighborhood side. Yeah, 30 new homes for rehabs, that's the minimum hope plan. So part of the thing that the Land Bank has done is, with this project, is involve the neighborhood, and one of the things is we've talked about the Old West End Development Alliance, so that was local nonprofits, neighborhood association. One of the things that we talked about was how do we make sure that this project, what's built, blends in with the neighborhood, exactly what Charlie's was saying. And so the Old West End Alliance came up with design guidelines that some of Ball State architecture professors and students helped to design with input from the neighborhood. So that was one of the things that was put into the pass-through agreement with Intend Indiana, who's going to be the main developer, but also working with Eco Rehab and Passstone to co-develop some properties. But basically, you have to adhere to these design guidelines and also the disposition process of the alliance, passing off these property, meaning they have to submit plans. And in general, I think the plan is for them to be 2-story, same level, same kind of arch, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. There may be a few exceptions, but that's the plan. But very much neighborhood people involved, pushing to say that's a very important part of the project, that everything fits. Just to say, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else for public comment today?
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Tanya Aside. I'm the Executive Director of the Muncie Arts and Culture Council. I have a comment and a question about the property that was mentioned as part of the facade program at 308 South Walnut Street, the one owned by Cindy Buchanan. Specifically, I wanted to note that this is also the building that has the mural called On the Mark for the City that was done by the Word Trying Collective, comprised of 4 artists named Brady Eulis, Faith Kellermeyer, Joanna Darda, and the 4th artist, I don't have the name, Janelle Summers. So my question is, does that proposal include any change to the mural that is on the south side of the building that faces Defer Varan and the caffeinery?
That's a good question. Mr. Bishop?
The proposal did not include any reference to it, but it is a good question. I don't believe they indicated anything in any communications either about the mural as a part of the funding, at least.
Is the funding contingent on changes to the entire building, or only one part, for example, the part facing Walnut Street?
Yeah, the funding's not contingent on anything additional aside from what's in the grant program guidelines. So, I mean, just generally, they have to do the work according to what they've proposed, and then they would be reimbursed. Yeah, the bulk of the onus, I guess, is more so up front with the approval to get us quotes and renderings. I think they only sent the Walnut Street facade, and that was the only thing included in there. So yeah, the only other contingency would be do the work according to what they stated and be reimbursed.
Okay.
$25K.
Do you have the information for the owner? Do you know the owner to be able to contact them?
I do not know her personally, but I do know there's a lot of interest in that mural. And in fact, not long after I started my position back in February, there was a meeting that was called initially by the owners of Rojo's that were going to open their business in the back of that building because they wanted to make some small changes. And from that meeting, and by small changes, I mean paint the door, add awning. And so at that meeting were also representatives of the Muncie Queer Alliance and Muncie Outreach. And so I just want to take this moment to register that in addition to broad community interest, there's also very particular interest from those 2 groups, plus the Muncie Arts and Culture Council, as we're always about more public art for the city. But that mural, which not a lot of people know, actually commemorates the mass shooting that happened at the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, Florida, several years ago. So this is part of the reason why there is so much community interest in it.
And I appreciate it. No, it's a great question. The committee did not recommend any contingencies. They did ask about it.
It's a good thought for the future, too. With future
Nor did
plans.
the board add any contingencies today, but I think it's a great question. There's obviously, plenty of spaces there could be new murals. So would love to see the current mural maintained.
Mr. Freeman, to this point, could we as a commission today go ahead and add a contingency to that one application, even though it's already been approved for funding now? I don't think we can we, this late?
It's your approval.
Okay,
Still in the meeting, I don't see any reason why you can't
okay.
resolve it.
I think that would be a wise idea by this commission if someone wants to motion to that point, to add a contingency that the facade application maybe be, I guess, rejected if there are significant changes to the mural. I don't know if I'm wording that right. There might be a better way to word that. I don't know if anybody wants to make that motion today.
When is
No, I-
this, when is this work supposed to, Zane, do you know when that work is supposed to happen? Quickly?
Sorry.
You're all right. Glad you brought it up.
Thank you.
I know they gave a timeline. I don't have it today. I would imagine starting soon, and I know they have to finish the work within 12 months, based on the program guidelines. I believe they need to start within 60 days. So yeah, probably pretty soon.
Okay. You know, I think this is a bigger question. I'd love to move it on to the next month's agenda where we're going to talk about the other aspects of the program, but understanding the immediacy and that it could be impacted. I mean, I would support, I would move what you've said as a motion.
Okay.
I know it's a proprietary decision at this point, but I'd like to revisit this question because when a building involves a mural, we really ought to think about that.
Yeah.
So I think in the stopgap measure, I would support I would move what you've said as a motion. And do you have that, Ben, what that was? Which
Did,
is,
did I motion that correctly? Was my language correct on that? I can repeat it for the record.
Essentially, that the mural itself would not be,
Drastically harmed in the facade grant update, in the facade update.
well, I think the word drastic is pretty liberal, but
Yeah, it
maybe
is.
that it would be impacted to diminish its present form.
Yeah,
Is that fair?
Yeah, I think it's fair. I'm trying to word it in a way so that way,
Yeah.
because, I mean, there's going to be work being done, so I don't
Right.
want an accident or something to happen and then they lose their, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Ben, I mean, is my language there fair?
it's your language.
Yeah, let me just say, it's 306 or 308 South Walnut.
Right.
306 South Walnut.
306.
Okay, for the application of 306 Walnut, to be amended to state that, that no alterations be made to the present mural.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What issue does this create? And I'm sensitive to the matter, but what issue does this create that the applicant has complied with the program
Right.
requirements? We approved it and then we changed it. When they were in compliance with the program requirements.
Well, I think
Exactly.
the answer to that is our attorney has said that it is up to our discretion as a commission to amend any one of these facade grant applications as they come in, to amend our motion to approve them. Like, we've already approved it, but we've realized something after the fact. Obviously, this is a pretty rare, I would consider it a rare historic circumstance for this one building. So that's why I proposed the motion. I think I agree with Mr. Dale's language. The motion is on the floor. So those are my thoughts on it. I don't think it necessarily sets a bad precedence, because again, I think this is such a rare situation. I mean, how many giant murals are on buildings across Muncie, Indiana? I think it's a pretty rare and important circumstance of the community that it calls for us to amend this, which is why I proposed
I
it.
agree, and Jeff, I understand what you're saying.
It's a fair point.
It's
He's
a
not
fair
wrong.
point. I do think that the next month's discussion, we need to really impress upon, what's missing in the application process, that, if historic preservation's been involved in, planning, and I think that we ought to think about, is there a public invested mural involved or not? Because this was a public project.
Good. Ms. Waggy, sorry, do you have something?
I disagree that
Okay.
we should change this, that we should amend this. We have spent months, half a year at least, of a committee that has worked to put this program together. Cindy Buchanan owns this property, and she has applied based on our application process, has been awarded the funds based on our application process. And I disagree with going back now and saying that we're going to change it and no, sorry, now you don't get the money. I mean, she's an intelligent businesswoman. She's most likely not going to paint over this mural that draws
Yeah.
people to that building.
So-
I mean, so the onus is on the Arts Commission, the whatever, or other organizations to talk to her and convince her not to change her building, that she owns this building, she applied for the grant based on our regulations, and I don't think we should change it at
Well,
this point.
well, I don't agree with your language there, which is to say that we are taking away or pulling the funds from her. We're not doing that. The motion is to say that her application is contingent upon approval based on the fact that we don't want this, again, very rare historic mural to be damaged in the process or taken away in the process. So just to be clear, we're not saying, oh, now we don't approve of it. That's not what we're saying. We're saying we actually do approve of it and we want to give you the money. Just please don't damage this one piece of the building that's, that really is not connected at all to the, I mean, besides at the corner, obviously. There's not gonna be any, I don't foresee any cross-contamination of construction in that process. I hope there isn't, but I think that's why we've made the motion we've made today. So that's my only counter to your point. I do see your point. Ms. Buchanan does own the building. You know, it's nothing against her at all. I don't think she would try to damage it. I'm sure she would not.
And
so-
it's her choice, it's her building.
That's true.
That's the
That is fair.
point, that I don't think we have.
That is fair.
To speak on behalf of the committee, I know this was maybe an area of interest or concern that was brought up. I don't know that the committee knew what its limitations were in recommending these kinds of things when it, wasn't actually brought up in discussions with the applicant or in the application itself. But I would say, on behalf of myself, we are here to serve a public interest. And I think there's a public interest in this mural, and there has been for a decade now. And it's hard to, maybe say more without maybe knowing the intentions of any changes, but, yeah.
Okay.
And I'd like to add one other thing, if I may, to clarify. I believe somebody said that public funds were used. I actually do not know if there were public funds used. I know that the four artists did a lot of private fundraising to make this happen, and there was a lot of community participation in this mural. 3 of the 4 artists still live in Indiana, one of whom is still in Muncie. So if there's any further information needed, we can supply that, and I would be happy to research that if you would like that.
Just to make it clear, I'm not arguing the point of the value of the mural. It's
Sure.
wonderful. It's
Yeah.
a amenity that people flock to downtown to have their family
Definitely.
photos taken in front. I mean, it's beautiful, but I don't feel like this entity should be changing the rules as we go, number one, and 2, dictating what the owners of the property choose to do with their property.
That's fair. Is there anything else on discussion on this before we move forward with action? There is a motion on the floor, so it does need a second. I'll second the motion.
Okay.
Okay. All right, we'll take roll. Mr. Bishop?
Yes, sorry,
It's okay.
I was trying to remember what the
We had
motion.
a lengthy
I was trying to
discussion,
remember
it's
what
all right.
I was trying to remember what the motion was.
Mr. Dale?
Yes.
Mr. Miller, yes. Ms. Wagley?
No.
Okay, thank you. We will move forward with,
Tanya.
yeah, thank
Yeah,
you
thank
for
you.
bringing that to our attention. Move forward with commissioner comments. Generally, I just wanted to say, it's good to see the facade grant program up and running and having success. I know we just had a discussion about it that kind of changed some things, but to get 5 projects and $75,000 reinvested into buildings across the community, I think is really valuable, really important, and that's great job to all of you. Great job to Mr. Bishop, Mr. Probilla, who are representatives on the committee. Thank you for doing that. So yeah, that's all I've got.
Yes, I have something.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Ms. Wagley.
Just wanted to update you guys on, MRC committed funds to the Cannon Commons Christmas facilities. We've replaced all the waterproofing covers for the wires that have been damaged. That was a lot. About half of the lights on the trees surrounding Cannon Commons were either a whole tree was out, half a tree was out, whatever. That should be happening here in the next week or so. Well, will have to happen in the next week or so if they aren't down there already doing it. There were a couple dead trees that we went ahead and had taken out. So that is all in the process, and all of the trees will now light up again. December 4th is Light Up, mostly brought to us between the city and Star Financial Bank. They came in, as we've had many sponsors that have helped with marketing, and a couple radio stations that have helped with getting it out on the radio, and Great Deals Magazine put it out. They're sponsoring the parade. The Light Up Parade will be December 4th at 5:30 from City Hall to the roundabout by Cannon Commons. The event at Cannon Commons will start at 5 and run till approximately 8 o'clock. There will also be the First Thursday event taking place at the same time. The Makers Market, so the holiday Makers Market, will be present at Cannon Commons in a large tent. A1 for Fun will have a mechanical Rudolph there, kind of like a mechanical bull, but it's a
All
Rudolph.
MRC members are required
Yes,
to ride
you're
it.
required to ride it with videotape going. There will be ice skating and other kids' amenities set up at Canton Commons. There will be several food trucks, and we have a couple dirty soda. I'm not up on that, but other people knew what that was. A couple dirty soda vendors. Then there will be stage entertainment, which will include the Maybell Carolers, which are a group of female band people in Muncie, and they're very popular at Minnetrista and some other places. They will be on stage. The Muncie Community Schools Elementary Choir will be participating with 150 to 200 children singing. And then the Muncie Central Color Guard will be there to perform on stage, and of course we'll have Santa. But just wanted to update you, that's all December 4th, and I hope everybody will come out, and sounds like we're going to have quite the crowd and have a good time.
Yeah, glad we funded part of that.
Yeah,
Getting
Thank
Christmas
you.
spirit. Anybody else?
I should have mentioned this during the facade portion, but the committee did have recommendations for changes to the online application to make things clearer and easier to get all what's required in the program. And then also requested a press release or posting or something like that. Jeff, I don't know if you had any updates.
The press release or the social media posting is in the queue.
In the queue, okay.
And then I've provided the marked up application that Jason provided me to IT. But I think IT would like to have a conversation about that, and I guess to understand the spirit of what needs to be accomplished. And
Okay.
I think one of you guys probably needs to do that rather than me, because
Okay, I will
why
coordinate that.
I mean, I'm probably going to build it out to somebody else.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Some additional follow-ups and updates, maybe for next month, Jeff. Believe we need a second appraisal for the jury lots, and I think reposting the public offering for sale. I don't believe I've received a copy of the first appraisal either. 806 North Walnut is a property that's owned by the Economic Development Corporation, but I've been told that we pay for maintenance on it, and it needs some additional work to clear the sidewalk. I know there's also been some mowing issues this year, but mostly clearing the sidewalk and making it passable.
I think Shireen you communicated that, didn't you? We talked about that. Remember I gave you the picture that Thane gave you, you were gonna talk to the,
Okay.
okay, I'll refresh your mind.
Yeah, I think it's a bush that needs removed. It's not a huge deal, but it is like a key neighborhood. It's a block or a block and a half away from Columbus, across from Central, and I think, any publicly owned property should be some of the best maintained on the block. I also was curious who handled snow removal for MRC owned properties, where applicable for, sidewalks and whatnot. Store, I had some concerns about the new sidewalks out there, that they were not ADA compliant. I talked with the building commissioner. He said that DR Horton will be addressing those issues. Just they need some passing room, kind of mid-block, and then the curbs, since they weren't poured concrete for the curb cuts. I think the engineer installed full curbs, and then DR, kind of, ground those out and, remove space for the curb cuts, for the sidewalks and the driveways at the intersections. The bumps are large and not to ADA standards.
Didn't you address that in an email?
Addressed it to, yeah, the building commissioner needs to
Okay.
inspect those and.
Okay, I thought I remembered that off the top of my head.
Yeah, I mean, these construction things, the building commissioner is gonna have, this is not
Sure.
something for us.
Okay.
The MRC paid for some sidewalk work downtown with, I think, mostly ADA pads and maybe a couple reconstructions for downtown last year. I think we were told that that work had been done. It does not appear that that work has been done, so there's still some money sitting out there for that work that needs addressed, with, I think, mostly replacing some of the tactile pads, and then there's still a lot of just curbs that don't have brakes at intersections and parking lot entrances and whatnot in the downtown. So we need to figure out where we're spending that money and get that work done. And then I was also curious if there was any update on the KPEP, the Kitsaman Pure Energy Park sale at the tax sale, and what MRC's obligation is. I mean, in all of this, you don't necessarily have to provide that right now.
Well, I think I've already addressed that. It did not sell. Did not sell at the tax sale.
Okay.
So, I'm not sure what, at this point, any role we have as it relates to that.
Do we have bonds?
I'm not impacted by that. We gotta pay the bonds anyway. That's the way these deals were done for the last many years. We obligate ourselves to pay the bonds, but we don't have any control over that property.
Okay.
I mean, we've run into that on numerous occasions. The bond obligation is,
So we're paying the bonds, but basically we're not receiving any income from the property to,
correct.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, that deal was done, that's how it was done. That's the, part of the cleanup that is time consuming and has to be cleaned up. But yep, we have a number of deals that
Yeah, we had to correct that
go
way.
that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand how the deal's structured, but I think it's important to note.
Yeah, there's nothing we can do about it. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Any comments? Seeing none, we are adjourned till our next meeting on December 18th, 2025. Thank you so much.
Awesome.